the natives against the white men, whom they accused most wantonly of strange practices. As this plan was most likely to succeed, and as it was dangerous to have such men with him, the doctor arrived at the conclusion that it was best to discharge them, and accordingly sent the sepoys back to the coast, but not without having first furnished them with the means of subsistence on their journey to the coast. These men were such a disreputable set that the natives spoke of them as the doctor's slaves. One of their worst sins was the custom of giving their guns and ammunition to carry to the first woman or boy they met, whom they impressed for that purpose by such threats or promises as they were totally unable to perform, and unwarranted in making. An hour's marching was sufficient to fatigue them, after which they lay down on the road to bewail their hard fate and concoct new schemes to frustrate their leader's purposes. Toward night they generally made their appearance at the camping-ground with the looks of half-dead men. Such men naturally made but a poor escort, for had the party been attacked by a wandering tribe of natives of any strength, the doctor could have made no defence, and no other alternative would have been left to him but to surrender and be ruined. The doctor and his little party arrived on the 18th July 1866 at a village belonging to a chief of the Wahayou, situate 8 days' march south of the Rovuma, and overlooking the watershed of Lake Nyassa. The territory lying between the Rovuma River and this Wahayou village was an uninhabited wilderness, during the transit of which Livingstone and his expedition suffered considerably from hunger and desertion of men. Early in August 1866 the doctor came to the country of Mapanda, a chief who dwelt near the Lake Nyassa. On the road thither 2 of the liberated slaves deserted him. Here also Wekotani, a protege of the doctor, insisted upon his discharge, alleging as an excuse with which the doctor subsequently found to be untrue, that he had found his brother. He also stated that his family lived on the east side of the Nyassa lake. He further stated that Mapanda's favorite wife was his sister. Perceiving that Wekotani was unwilling to go with him further, the doctor took him to Mapanda, who now saw and heard of him for the first time, and having furnished the ungrateful boy with enough cloth and beads to keep him until his big brother should call for him, left him with the chief, after first assuring himself that he would receive honourable treatment from him. The doctor also gave Wekotani writing papers, as he could read and write, being accomplishments acquired at Bombay, where he had been put to school, so that, should he at any time feel disposed, he might write to his English friends or to himself. The doctor further enjoined him not to join in any of the slave raids usually made by his countrymen, the men of Nyassa, on their neighbours. Upon finding that his application for a discharge was successful, Wekotani endeavoured to induce Chuma, another protege of the doctor's, and a companion, or chum of Wekotani, to leave the doctor's service and proceed with him, promising as a bribe a wife and plenty of pombe from his big brother. Chuma, upon referring the matter to the doctor, was advised not to go, as he, the doctor, strongly suspected that Wekotani wanted only to make him his slave. Chuma wisely withdrew from his tempter. From Mapandas the doctor proceeded to the heel of the Nyassa, to the village of a Bombiza chief, who required medicine for a skin disease. With his usual kindness he stayed at the chief's village to treat his malady. While here, a half-caste Arab arrived from a western shore of the lake, and reported that he had been plundered by a band of Mazitu, at a place which the doctor and Musa, chief of the Johanna men, were very well aware, was at least 150 miles north-northwest of where they were then stopping. Musa, however, for his own reasons, which will appear presently, eagerly listened to the Arab's tale, and gave full credence to it. Having well digested its horrible details, he came to the doctor to give him the full benefit of what he had heard, with such willing ears. The traveller patiently listened to the narrative, which lost nothing of its portentous significance through Musa's relation, and then asked Musa if he believed it. "Yes," answered Musa, readily. "He tell me true. I ask him good, and he tell me true." The doctor, however, said he did not believe it, for the Mazitu could not have been satisfied with merely plundering a man. They would have murdered him, but suggested, in order to allay the fears of his Moslem subordinate, that they should both proceed to the chief with whom they were staying, who, being a sensible man, would be able to advise them as to the probability or improbability of the tale being correct. Together they proceeded to the Babisa chief, who, when he had heard the Arab's story, unhesitatingly denounced the Arab as a liar, and his story without the least foundation in fact, given as a reason that if the Mazitu had been lately in that vicinity, he would have heard of it soon enough. But Musa broke out with a "No, no, doctor, no, no, no. I no want to go to Mazutu. I no want Mazutu to kill me. I want to see my father, my mother, my child, and Johanna. I want no Mazutu." These are Musa's words, ipsissima verba. To which the doctor replied, "I don't want the Mazutu to kill me either, but as you are afraid of them, I promise to go straight west until we get far past the beat of the Mazutu." Musa was not satisfied, but kept moaning and sorrowing, saying, "If we had 200 guns with us, I would go, but our small party of men they will attack by night and kill all." The doctor repeated his promise, "But I will not go near them. I will go west." As soon as he turned his face westward, Musa and the Johanna men ran away in a body. The doctor says, in commenting upon Musa's conduct, that he felt strongly tempted to shoot Musa and another ringleader, but was nevertheless glad that he did not soil his hands with their vile blood. A day or two afterwards, another of his men, Simon Price by name, came to the doctor with the same tale about the Mazutu, but compelled by the scant number of his people to repress all such tendencies to desertion and faint-heartedness, the doctor silenced him at once, and sternly forbade him to utter the name of the Mazutu any more. Had the natives not assisted him, he would have despaired of ever being able to penetrate the wild and unexplored interior which he was now about to tread. Fortunately, as the doctor says with unction, I was in a country now, after leaving the shores of Nyassa, which the foot of the slave trader had not trod. It was a new and virgin land, and of course, as I have always found in such cases, the natives were really good and hospitable, and for every very small portions of cloth my baggage was conveyed from village to village by them. In many other ways the traveller, in his extremity, was kindly treated by the yet unsophisticated and innocent natives. On leaving this hospitable region in the early part of December, 1866, the doctor entered a country where the Mazutu had exercised their customary marauding propensities. The land was swept clean of provisions and cattle, and the people had emigrated to other countries beyond the bounds of these ferocious plunderers. Again the expedition was besieged by pinching hunger from which they suffered. They had recourse to the wild fruits which some parts of the country furnished. At intervals the condition of the hard-pressed band was made worse by the heartless desertion of some of its members, who more than once departed with the doctor's personal kit, change of clothes, linen, etc. With more or less misfortunes constantly dogging his footsteps, he traversed in safety the countries of Bambiza, Bombima, Marungu, Baulungu, and Lunda. In the country of Lunda lives the famous Cazimbe, who was first made known to Europeans by Dr. Lacerda, the Portuguese traveller. Cazimbe is a most intelligent prince. He is a tall, stalwart man, who wears a peculiar kind of dress made of crimson print in the form of a prodigious kilt. In this state dress King Cazimbe received Dr. Livingstone, surrounded by his chiefs and bodyguards. A chief, who had been deputed by the king and elders to discover all about the white man, then stood up before the assembly and in a loud voice gave the result of the inquiry he had instituted. He had heard that the white man had come to look for waters, for rivers and seas. Though he could not understand what the white man could want with such things, he had no doubt that the object was good. Then Cazimbe asked what the doctor proposed doing, and where he thought of going. The doctor replied that he had thought of proceeding south, as he had heard of lakes and rivers being in that direction. Cazimbe asked, "What can you want to go there for? The water is close here. There is plenty of large water in this neighbourhood." Before breaking up the assembly, Cazimbe gave orders to let the white man go where he would, through his country undisturbed and unmolested. He was the first Englishman he had seen, he said, and he liked him. Shortly after his introduction to the king, the queen entered the large house, surrounded by a bodyguard of Amazons with spears. She was a fine, tall, handsome young woman, and evidently thought she was about to make an impression upon the rustic white man, for she had clothed herself with a most royal fashion, and was armed with a ponderous spear. But her appearance, so different from what the doctor had imagined, caused him to laugh, which entirely spoiled the effect intended. For the laugh of the doctor was so contagious that she herself was the first to imitate it, and the Amazons, courtier-like, followed suit. Most disconcerted by this, the queen ran back, followed by her obedient damsels, a retreat most undignified and unqueenlike compared with her majestic advent into the doctor's presence. But Livingstone will have much to say about his reception at this court, and about this interesting king and queen, who can so well relate the scenes he witnessed, and which belong exclusively to him as himself. Soon after his arrival in the country of Lunda or Londa, and before he had entered the district ruled over by Cambisi,